Hello, Henry from Belgium here. Today I'm showing LEGO 6332, Command Post Central from 1998. I'll admit, I didn't know this one until I stumbled on it at a flea market. From the look alone, you can tell we're in the late Town Junior era. Fun detail, this set was re-released in 2002 as 6636 Police Headquarters. Regular viewers know I keep a sub-collection of every police station from 1970 to 2000. You can already find a separate review of each one on my channel. I honestly thought that lineup was complete, until this one popped up, and it does look a bit different from the rest. The parts were tossed in a plastic bag, together with the box flap and the manuals. I have done my homework though. I checked the part list, read a few reviews and owner experiences, and pulled some catalog info. So expect a thorough review, just like you're used to. Let's start with the box. From this set, I only have the front flap of the box, and see it mainly as a nice extra. It immediately conveys the atmosphere and time period of the late 1990s. The original box measures 43 by 38.5 by 9.5 centimeters and has a flap lid that can be opened. The artwork looks a bit more childlike and less realistic than the boxes from the 1980s and early 1990s that I'm more familiar with. There are hardly any suggestions for alternate builds to be found. The focus is clearly on play value and accessibility, which is typical for the Town Junior era. I do like the fact that there are pictures of children playing on the inside of the box, clearly having a lot of fun with the set. This is something that disappeared from many LEGO boxes in more recent years. The next thing I have here is the instruction manual, or rather, manuals. At that time, LEGO provided a separate booklet for each part of the set. It's fun and quite clear for younger builders, but at the same time also a bit inconvenient and easy to lose. In total, there should be 7 booklets included with this set. I only have 4 unfortunately, but luckily they're all still available online through the official LEGO website, so I can easily print the missing ones. The building steps themselves are clear and straightforward to follow. It's perfect for anyone who prefers to build the set in separate sections rather than all at once. Personally though, I prefer having one complete manual, especially for a set that doesn't contain an overwhelming number of parts. Including the minifigures, this set counts 270 parts. At first glance, that doesn't seem like much, but what immediately stands out is the number of large elements. If LEGO had built this station in the 1980s using only basic bricks, the total part count would have been much higher. Another thing that catches the eye is the amount of green pieces in the set. Surprisingly, there's almost no blue to be found, a color you would naturally associate with a police station. Only a few trans blue elements are present. There are also quite a few interesting parts included here, which I'll go through in detail later during the build. One thing is already clear. There are no stickers at all, only printed bricks and tiles. For collectors, that's good news, since prints usually age far better than stickers. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the minifigures. There are 7 minifigures in total, which is quite a lot for a set of this size and immediately provides a complete crew to staff the entire post. Many of the faces are recognizable from earlier police stations, such as those from 1993 and 1996. Still, this set introduces some striking details. What stands out right away are the trans green visors. These appeared in only a handful of sets and were specifically meant to give the police a more high-tech look at the time. Also notable is that 3 officers have printed headgear with the word police. Such printed caps and helmets only became common in the mid-1990s, while in the 1980s, prints were limited to the torso. Of course, Jailbreak Joe is back as well. Here he shows up with a white cap, while in other sets he sometimes wore a hairpiece. For collectors, this is important, since the cap version appears only in this set and its re-release. And on a very positive note, there is once again a female police figure included. This is historically significant because it is the first time LEGO introduced a female police officer in uniform within the Town series. Before this, female minifigures did exist in Town, but mainly as civilians or in neutral clothing. I start the build with the vehicles because they are small, quick to finish, and give me an immediate first impression of the set. I begin with the smallest model, the trike. It's a very simple three-wheeler, built from just a handful of parts. At the core is the white tricycle body top, with dark grey chassis combined with a front fork, wheels, and a few small extras. I've personally never come across this type of base before, and it doesn't appear in very many sets either. I grew up with the classic scooters from the 80s and early 90s, so this feels a bit unusual to me. I'm not sure yet if I really like it. It definitely takes some getting used to. What is clear though, is that this little vehicle adds some extra play value to the set, even if it's more of a playful interpretation than a realistic version of a trike. For the police car, I start once again with a part I had never seen before, the light grey vehicle base 4x10 by 1 2/3. On top of that go a few bricks and ready-made elements, which means the car comes together quite quickly. At the front, there's a nice slope brick with a print, and the sides also have printed elements that give it a police look. The trans clear green windscreen is also new to my collection, and it only appears in a handful of sets. It's combined with two trans dark blue slopes, which makes for an unusual design choice. At the back, there's a surprising touch, a black string reel 2x4x2 holder. Normally this piece is meant to hold a reel of string, but here it's used creatively as a storage compartment. It's neatly closed off with a hinge plate and a hinge train gate, so you can store all the minifigure accessories inside. Personally, I would have preferred to see two modified plates with clips here, so the walkie-talkie or signal paddle could be attached to the outside. Now everything ends up crammed into the box. This vehicle also takes some getting used to for me. It feels like a mix of colors and styles, and it lacks a bit of uniformity. Without the police prints, I might not immediately recognize it as a police car. Still, I'm glad this set includes a car. The prints are well done, and the storage solution at the back is actually quite clever. For the helicopter, I also start with a part I hadn't seen before. It's a base element with two prints, and it only appears in 3 sets, instantly making it interesting for collectors. The build itself is quite enjoyable, and this really feels like a proper helicopter. Once again though, I noticed the bold color combinations that are so typical of the Town Junior era. Decoration is nicely handled. 2 printed slopes and a navigation tile add detail to the cockpit. What really catches my eye are the 2 dark grey engines. The engines themselves already existed, but this dark grey variant only appears from 1998 onward and is found in just a handful of sets. That makes it a neat detail worth highlighting for purists. The next step is building the command post central itself. For this I used 3 separate base plates, 2 measuring 16x16 and 1 8x16. What stands out right away is that this is not the classic 32x1632 baseplate that you find in almost every other police headquarters. One of the 16x16 plates is also exclusive to this set. That's because of the unique police badge print on the surface. It gives the set a very distinct character right from the start. The building is actually made up of 3 separate modules. On the left a jail, in the middle a section with tools and gear, and on the right an entrance hall with a tower. I start with the jail. For each module, there is a separate instruction booklet, just like with the vehicles, which makes the building process easy to follow. The foundation goes up quickly. A few large wall panels immediately form the structure, making this part sturdy, but also quite simple in appearance. Regular viewers know that I like working with light grey elements. These are a bit rarer today, because in the early 2000s, LEGO switched to bluish grey, and the classic light grey pieces were discontinued. The 1x6x5 panel was one I didn't have in my collection until now, so that's a nice surprise. Although it's built with large elements, I think the platform above the cell, from which the guard can overlook everything, is well done and quite realistic. What I do miss here is a ladder or staircase. There's also another element that I find really fun, a yellow boat mast. This piece appears in about 20 sets in 6 different colors. The yellow variant I had never owned before, so it's nice to add that to my collection. The cell door is built from 3 black fences. It's a simple solution and less realistic than a door that can actually open and lock, but it works. The prisoner clearly can't get out. I find the combination with dark gray very effective because it adds an extra accent and, just like in real life, suggests a different type of stone. The end result looks quite good. There's a camera on the roof, extra fences on the outside, and the whole thing feels compact but functional. That makes the left side of the command post a successful start to the build. After the jail, I build the middle section of the command post. The base once again consists of a few large panels and plates, which makes the structure go up quickly. What immediately stands out here are the green trans-clear elements. These appear in only one other set, and otherwise only in this command post and its re-release. They immediately define the look and atmosphere of the whole set, though to me, it doesn't really feel like a police station. What I do find very positive is the amount of decoration. In previous sets, the rooms were often just empty. Here, the ground floor contains quite a lot of tools. And it's not the classic equipment like a shovel, pickaxe, or broom, but the more modern variant that LEGO started producing from 1995 onwards. It includes, among others, an oil can, screwdriver, and drill, which makes this part feel more like a garage workspace than something you would expect to find with the police. I also like the color combination here. Not everything is in plain white, but there are a few well-chosen accents in other colors, which give this section more character. The last section is clearly the strongest of the 3. Once again, I'm working with large elements and familiar building techniques, but this time the result feels truly imposing. Across the 3 modules you actually build from small to large, with this section serving as the eye-catcher, and that gives the whole experience a satisfying progression. I find the building process quite enjoyable. Of course, there are a lot of large parts, and I know many adult fans view the Town Junior line negatively or as somewhat inferior because of that. But honestly, once you're engaged with the set, I feel there is plenty to do. The fact that you have 7 different small builds was something I first considered a drawback, but in practice it gave me a good rhythm. I could look at each section separately, evaluate it, and even do some research on certain parts in between. With the opinion of some reviewers that this set lacks decoration, I really disagree. Even in this section alone, I see decoration on every floor. There are nice tiles with creative prints that I hadn't encountered before. The entrance hall is the only space that is mostly empty, but even there, the upper floor includes a desk with a computer that can swivel, along with a chair. That makes the space feel more alive. On the outside, there are also additional decorative touches, giving the building more detail than you might expect at first glance. And finally, there is a separate helipad, which not only serves a practical function, but also adds variety to the build. In general, this set receives a lot of negative reviews. The simplicity of the build, the use of large elements, the color scheme, and the empty interiors are often mentioned as criticism. But I don't agree with those remarks, and I want to end on a positive note. I actually find the building quite successful. Its look is futuristic and modern, although to me it doesn't really feel like a police station, since I still associate that with the color blue. As an experiment, I'd love to replace all the trans-clear elements with dark blue, just to see how that changes the overall appearance. What I do appreciate is that LEGO dared to break away from the traditional style. Aside from the minifigures, the building and the vehicles are completely different from the earlier police stations. With the vehicles, I miss some uniformity in the color palette, but with the building that bothers me less. In the end, I value that this set is different, and that makes it a surprising and engaging discovery that I truly enjoy as a collector. With this set, I have in principle now completed my intended sub-collection of police stations. I will still be looking for a better copy with the full box and all the manuals. Something to look forward to on my next treasure hunt. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. It really helps the channel. And if you'd like to see more reviews every Sunday, don't forget to hit subscribe. It's completely free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.